the more you kind of look at this case, the more the story of Candace Bly and her children is like reading the story of Henry VIII wives that killed, survived, died. Do you know what I mean? It's like beaten, given away, missing, taken. Do I need to go on? This is what we're talking about. And look, I know there's a lot of people who support this female. Debatable. But look, she went on, she did another live last night. And I just think to myself, look, you look at this person and she is a mess. She's an absolute mess. And so there's clearly stuff going on that she needs to kind of sort out, get dealt with and put to bed. And look, there's a lot of people who are like saying, look, she's lonely, her daughter's missing, but oh my God, I just, however I look at this, I can't get round the fact that, look, she's in this position because she put herself in it. This isn't something that just happened out of the blue. This isn't something that she was doing everything right and being a fantastic mother, and this was the result of an unfortunate incident. This has gone on for decades. One of her children, back years ago when she was the Carney girl and had got with her, the partner of her children back then, her child was nearly beaten to death. She had to give her children away to the state for their own protection. And what did she learn from that? So I've had children. These children have been hurt, they've been threatened, they've been abused. One was beaten so badly that he's carried those injuries into his adult life, and she's had to give them away for their own protection. And her answer to all that was to have more children. She then started introducing people into these children's lives that were involved in drug trafficking, who were involved in drug dealing and drug taking, and worse. We're talking about sexual abuse offences. We're talking about people who themselves had missing, vanished children in their lives. But she felt it appropriate to have children around this environment. I said before, this whole situation was a melting pot that was going to blow up in someone's face. It was going to. And however you look at it, however you want to point this picture and say, this is what happened, or that is what happened. Summer was abducted, Summer wandered off, Summer was taken, Summer was sold. All of these are plausible, and not because of Summer and her siblings, but because of the absolute mess that her parents were. There was domestic violence, there was drug taking, there was grooming of a teenage boy. Come on, you can't tell me that the relationship between Candace and Hunter was healthy. It's not normal. It's not normal for a grown adult female to be being that way with a 15-year-old boy. It's not. It ain't right. And for any of you to sit there and say that you can support this situation, I have to question your moral integrity. I can understand people saying, look, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say she hurt a child directly. I'm not going to turn around and say she harmed a child. I'm not going to turn around and say she sold a child. Even though these are, like it or not, plausible scenarios, because they are. The whole area is in abundance with criminal activity. They were selling children in that area. Children are being sexually trafficked every day in that area. And this family and this family dynamic is a high risk dynamic. That's just a fact. And I know it's hard to accept. I know it's very difficult to see somebody who has clearly got issues and try and say, well, it's your own fault. Because it's hard. Because you're decent people. Decent people will find it hard. But look, what are we seeing? We're seeing a story that's gradually fallen apart. We're seeing Don, who's sitting in prison, and, you know, even though you could argue, look, Don ended up in prison because he went out and he made a mistake at a very highly emotional time, and it just happens that something was in the background and he got screwed for it. But everybody to that point was very, very rigid in their story. They were a lot more under control. There was more clarity to support them, I guess. And then as soon as Dom was out of the equation, it's turned into a complete and utter circus. It has. And you have to wonder why. You have to wonder why, when you remove the controlling person and there is no longer that control, what's left is a train wreck. It's an absolute train wreck. You know, Candace is going on social media, and we know that this platform is a powerful, powerful platform. So why would you not be utilising that platform to your advantage? Why wouldn't the people around her be guiding her to use the platform for her advantage? And the only conclusion I can come to is that she can't, because there's something in the background, and it's that people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I'm going to throw something that way, and someone's going to throw something back, and your whole world is going to come down. And if you've got that concern, it's going to make you apprehensive. But to be going onto this platform and doing lives and just mumbling absolute garbage when you're off your box on clearly more than just the odd swig of alcohol, it's wrong. It's wrong. And it just shows that even if Summer was to be found and found fine, how could you put her back into it? How could people say that? I see comments saying your children are going to come back to you. They're going to come back. What? What would they be coming back to? They'd be coming back to an absolute train wreck that is probably going to end up here again. I don't understand any of it. In 2-3 weeks' time, Summer will have been missing for as long as she spent inside Candace's womb. And in that period of time, we have seen Candace doing more to protect herself and say how she is and what she's going through and what she wants, and send money here, send gifts here, than she has to say, get her story across. This is what happened. I understand that there's some confusion over the timeline and these are the things that are being brought up. I just want to take the time to put the record straight. This is what happened. This is not what happened. And put everything to bed. Have a poster up in your videos that says, this is Summer, this is what she looked like on the day she went missing, and if you see anything, know anything, then please, please, please call me, text me. This is my number, this is my email, contact me directly. If you don't want to go to the authorities, if you don't want to go down that more, how can I say, the more risky way, then slip me a note. Slip me a note and say, look, this is what's going on. I've seen this, I know this. But nothing. Instead, it's, look what I want. I want a new fanny pack. I want a friggin' beanie. What the on TikTok, with these filters and just these weird, it's like, she needs institutionalising. That's what she needs. She needs for doctors or someone to get involved and say, look, you're clearly heading in a very, very, very dangerous direction. And you're going to end up in a very, very dark place. And we need to intervene and stop this immediately and get you the help and support that you need. There's something weighing on this woman's mind. There's something weighing very, very heavily on her mind. And, you know, she said in that live that she will never drink or do anything against her children again. What did that even mean? You know, that in itself is pushing towards guilt. She feels guilty about something. Now, I'm not saying for one second that Candace thumped Summer in the head or hit her with something and this is what happened. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that this family dynamic, what we know, has led to what we see today. And Candace does have some responsibility to take. And even if you look at the absolute best case scenario that Summer was taken from the property by someone, and when I say best case scenario, I mean for them, for the adults. That means that they weren't culpable in direct harm. Then it doesn't matter. It's so hard. It's so hard to put together how that would have worked. It's so hard to accept that everything that this little girl was going through, what she was seeing, what was part of her world, like, remember, and let this sink in, what we know is the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg. Summer was 5 years old when she went missing. She's 6 years old now. So that's a lot of time for these things that we are getting snapshots of. It's like those things, isn't it? When you see a video and you see something has happened and you think, well, that's just one little segment of a big, big story. And this car crash of a life, we're just seeing little snapshots of it. Can you imagine if you saw the whole bigger picture of what this girl's life was, what it entailed, what was going on around her? We're seeing, even when Summer is missing and her mum is interacting with the likes of Benny Keys, the absolute disgusting stuff that is being said, the behaviour of this supposedly grieving over the missing daughter, and she can still behave in that fashion. Well, Jesus Christ, can you... Oh. And sorry, that's what this woman makes me do. Do you know what I mean? It drives me insane. It truly drives me insane that the be all and end all, Summer is somewhere, and she's somewhere because of her parents. And that's a fact. That is an absolute fact. She's surrounded by liars. This story is falling apart all the time. And look, there might be an explanation for it. They might just be all so full of shit that they don't know how to tell the truth. That just might be the dynamic of this kind of family. And what we're seeing is just commonplace. Because the reality is, it's the children and what happened just isn't important enough. It's not a priority to them. And they now got to try and make it look like a priority, and they're failing miserably at it. But look, for the supporters, all I'm going to say is, look, support because you're good people. Support because it's hard for you to accept that this family done something to their daughter. But don't support through naivety. Don't support because you are just blinkered to the fact that this girl's life was a lovely life and all of a sudden it just fell apart very, very suddenly for no apparent reason, because it's not the case. Her parents were driving that car and the car crashed off a cliff. That was a metaphor, by the way, not an actual car. Before that goes on and says, harsh reality, he said that there was a car crash. It's not what I said. But this is a car crash. This is a car crash, and I truly hope that it gets put to bed. I truly hope that Summer gets some form of justice. I truly do. I believe TBI know something, they know something, and that's why we don't know anything. Because they know what happened, and they can't prove it. And I'll tell you why this will not get settled. And that is because you look at the support that Candace has online. You look at the amount of people who are supportive of her, and they are believing the utter rubbish that is this story. Because as long as there is doubt, as long as they cannot take this to court without someone just saying, look, reasonable doubt, this isn't going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to be put to bed. It's not going to end. And all these people who say, we want to bring this to a close, we want to get some, this resolution, we want to put this to bed, well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen as long as there are people out there who are supporting this current narrative. It's just not. And that is a harsh reality.